Yeah. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyim Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom, right? To the sister Akwaf, listen in silence. Shalom. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. And Shabbat Shalom, right? It says you know, it's according to the new moon. So we're in Sabbath. This is Zechariah chapter 4. And I did it in this because it's called the Bible Hub, and they got the different so-called translations, so we can kind of get more of like the understanding, because it's pretty much says the same thing, but the translation sometimes it makes it easier for you to break it down into English, or to layman's terms, like they say. It says who. So I'm gonna just go to this one. The New Living Translation. Do not despise these small beginnings, right? So when you go into One West, when it first started, it was basically like a hole in the wall, right? Small beginning. You got to think back in, what was it, the late 60s, Abba Bibbins, who is Elijah, right? Come back, right? So we can to give the fathers back to the sons and the sons back to the fathers, and we are the fathers, right? Because we are our ancestors. So we are the fathers and we are the sons, right? To put us back into the customs of our forefathers, right? Back in our right mind. So do not despise small beginnings, right? And you got to think, how many people were there following being an Israelite? Wasn't that many, right? In the beginning, back in the late 60s. But look at it now. It's literally throughout the whole world. Like the Lord said, a small seed, a mustard seed, that become the largest seed within the garden, and that's where we're at right now. Right? It says for Yahweh rejoices in seeing the work begin, right? And that was the beginning of the work with Abba Bibbins, right? Then you got King Masha and High Priest Ariah, which King Masha is King David or Zerubbabel, right? And it says to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hands, right? And that was King Masha. The 7 lamps represent the eyes of Yahweh, right? And then you had what they call the 7 at One West, but this is talking about the angels, right? So I mean, this is spiritual, because you did have the 7 at the church at One West, right? eyes of Yahweh that searcheth all around the world, right? Which is talking about the angels. Because you got, matter of fact, we'll get to that. Let me just skip down to the King James, so we have the King James version. It says, for who have despised the day of small things, right? It's just a mustard seed at one west. For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel, which is King Masha, which is King David, right? Which is Peter, with those 7 that are the eyes of Yahweh, which run to and fro through the whole earth. See, that's how you know it's the angels. But I mean, the crazy thing is they did have the 7 at one west, but this is talking about the angels. Yeah, this is Revelation chapter 1 verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars, which thus saw is in the right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are what? Are the angels of the 7 churches, right? See? Those are the eyes that go to and fro throughout the whole earth. And the 7 candlesticks, which thus saw us, are the 7 churches, right? Because right now you're dealing with, you got all these different Israelite sectors of Israel, and they all teaching all these different doctrines. But there's only one church that has the correct doctrine, right? I mean, just being an Israelite is not good enough, right? Oh, it's Revelation 11:1. And there was given me a reed like a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Yahweh, and the altar, and them that worship therein, which is talking about the 7 churches, right? But the court which is without the temple leave out, right? Which is for the heathens, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, which are the heathens, right? So all that whole God is coming to save everybody, which even Gentile, it means nations. Right? The other nations, where Israelites is a nation, but this is for the Israelites. So he said, hey, we're the Israelites, but leave that thing that's out for them other nations. Leave that, touch it not. Right? Measure it not, for it is unto the Gentiles, right? And the holy city shall, which is Jerusalem, or the new Jerusalem, which is you, because the Lord said the kingdom of heaven is within you, shall they tread underfoot 42 months, right? Because the matter of fact, let's get this. Yeah, this is Luke chapter 21, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. And who's they that's falling by the edge of the sword? Which is the children of Israel, which is what they call Judah, Benjamin, Levi. It's right here. So 21:21. Then let Luke 21:21. Let them which are in Judea, which talking about Israel, which Judah, Benjamin, Levi, at that time, because the northern kingdom was already gone for quite some time, to the mountains, which mountains represents government. So let them go into these other nations through these other governments, right? And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let them not that are in countries enter there into, right? Because Israel, even back in that day, Israel was scattered around into other countries, right? Like when it said when everybody used that scripture, speaking in tongues or whatever, it said that every man heard his own language from every nation under heaven, right? And they understood it because it was from the places where they were born, right? Because Israel was scattered everywhere. Well, let's get back to this. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, right? Which are the Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and shall be led away captive, right, into all nations, right, right, being scattered. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, right? Those other nations, right? Leave the outer court for those other nations because they done what? Atrocities against the Lord's people. That's why they're not going to. There's no way you're gonna get the kingdom of heaven too. Or no, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And what the Lord said, this gospel shall be preached until what? To the ends of the world, which is happening now through Abba Bibbins unto what? King Masha, which is Peter, and Zerubbabel, which ultimately is King David, right? But right, because this is dealing with what's coming now, because those are all what a sign. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, right? Because we've been seeing these blood moons, these eclipses, all sorts of things, right? Right, and people go, oh, you know what? There's always been eclipse. There's always been this. There's always been that, right? Upon the earth, distress of nations. So that haven't always been on the earth. Yeah, maybe your nation over here might be going through a drought, but this nation over here be doing good because they have rain and they had a good crop, right? Whatever you're going through over there ain't got nothing to do with over here, but because they got everything interwoven through this fiat money, right? And through the stock market, everything's interwoven now, right? And the stress of nations with perplexity, the sea, right, which goes into people, and the waves roaring, because the people are going to be what? Rioting, right? Men's heart failing them for fear and for the looking after those things which are coming on the earth For the power of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man, which is Yahweh Shai, coming in the cloud, which is what they call a UFO or UAPs, right? With power and great glory, and that's ultimately what the once this gospel is preached to the ends of the world, which we're at. Because when they fell, was it it's a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84, because that was the Romans when it says that they should go into captivity. Right here it says this is in the year 665 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish, which really means Jews, put an end to the Jew, right? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, the Jews state, which with great slaughter during the period of a military governors of Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people during the period of Pompey and to Julius. It has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa from Roman persecution, and the slave markets were filled of black Jews slaves, right? Because the Israelites were so-called black people, right? So-called. Okay, now we're back here at Revelation 11 and 3. I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth, right? So we know that the Lord has roughly been, dead, resurrected, ascended in unto the Most High in a chariot, right? Not just floating like the air. It was in a chariot, right? Because he had his body, right? He got caught up like Enoch, right? Or Elijah, right? So the chariots of the Lord, yeah, into the chariots of the Lord, and ascending in, and it's been roughly almost 3,000 years, but it's like 2,000 something. So that's when the Lord's coming back, right? And we've been sighing that long about that time. Sackcloth is for sighing, for mourning, for death, like funerals, or when you sin against the Lord, sackcloth, right? And the Lord's gonna give power to his 2 witnesses, and his 2 witnesses is ultimately, like on the Apostle Tahar said, on a micro scale, it's talking about the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, or the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. But on a more larger scale, it's talking about what? Zerubbabel and Joshua the high priest, right? said this is still 11. We're still in 11. Revelation 11:4. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before Yahweh of the earth, right? So like I said, that's Zerubbabel and Joshua, right? And Zerubbabel, what? It's measuring the temple. Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 16, verse 16. And this is the Lord had, speaking to the disciples, right? And asking them, who do men say that I am? And then Simon Peter answered and said, thus are the Messiah, Son of the living power, Yahweh. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, blessed art thus, Simon Bar-Jonas, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I also unto thee, and I say also unto thee, and I'm going to say this also unto you. I'm going to add to what my Father has given you, the understanding, right, of who I am. So I'm going to add this into you. I'm going to put this upon you. I'm going to put this beneficial thing unto you, that thus are Peter, right? Because Simon means like soft or something like that, soft rock or clay or something like that. But Peter is like a rock, like a stone, hard, right? A foundation, right? Thus are Peter, and upon this rock will I build. And it said, like, and it said Zerubbabel had a plumb, and what do you do with the plumb? You're measuring to build a house, right? Build my church, right, which is the Lord's house, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it, right? The gates of hell should not come against this house, right? Gates represents like military or defense, right? Because in defense of Esau Edom, right, which is basically hell, because it says that there's hell is wherever they go, right? Death, right? And I will give unto thee the keys, right? So if you build a house, you need what? You need keys. You build the house, and then you need keys for the door. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thus shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thus shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven, right? This is 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15. But if I tarry long, right? Because it may seem like it's taking a long time for the Lord to come. 2,000 something, maybe almost 3,000 years seemed like a long time. And then maybe it seemed like he ain't coming at all. Like he'd be like, oh my God, like when is anything ever going to happen? That thus mayest know that thus oughtest to behave thyself in the house, what? In the house of Yahweh, right? You built this thing, you have the pillar, you have the ground, the foundation, you have the pillar, because that's what the Lord said Peter was, a pillar, right? Ground, the foundation, the pillar. Then you have what? A house, right? how thus thou oughtest to behave thyself in the house of Yahweh, which is the church of the living power, the pillar and ground of truth. Right? So this is what the Lord said he was giving them. Right? So this is Isaiah chapter 22, verse 22. And this is how we know that Peter had to be David and Zerubbabel, right? Because this is the honor that the Lord had given King David, saying that his throne should be forever, right? Because we're building up the tabernacle of David, the house of David, right? And the key of the house of David, right? The tabernacle, the house of David, will I lay upon his shoulders, so he shall open and none shall shut, and he shall shut and none shall open. Right? Because the Lord said, I'm going to give you the keys. You're going to be able to bind whatever bind on earth is in heaven. There's nothing you can't have. You're going to be able to open up the doors, the windows of heaven, or the doors of heaven, and ask for what you need, and then it'll come down. It'll be bound on earth. This is what he was given to Peter. Right? Because we know this is Yahushua, because Yahushua he is the door. Right? Yahushua is the door. So he was standing in front of the door, and the door told him, I'm going to give you the keys. So what are keys for? That you could open and you could shut. And when you got keys, what could you do? You lock the doors. You could open it that no man can open, and shut that no man can open. Right? I mean, you could close and lock the door, and no man can close the door and lock the door the way you can, because you have the keys. And no man can come and open the door, unlock the door, and open the door the way you can, because you have the keys. Yeah, so this is Isaiah 22:18. Right up from Isaiah 22 that I just read. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball. Who is that? That's Yahweh. Bashem Yahweh Shai said that he is going to toss us like a ball. And how was that? In those slave ships, right? When you were in the slave ships, the way the waves went, you were being tossed like a ball upon the waters into a large country, and there shall thus die, right? And we were what? Enslaved, killed, murdered, right? Unto this very day, you're being, shot down, getting your knee put on your throat until you die, right? And there, the chariots of thy glory, right? Because right now, when our ancestors was in the field, they was singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," coming forth to carry me home. But right now, now it's becoming our glory again. But at one point in time, that knowledge was kind of lost. And when the elders came back out and said the chariots are the UFO, people scoffed at it. You know what I mean? And some people still scoff at the chariots. Chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house, right? So now it's like, oh, you believe in UFO? You believe that's the angels? That's like a shameful thing. Like people are looking at it like it's nothing, right? I will drive thee from thy station and from thy state, right? Which He was a king. We were ruling for 1,000 years before Esau came out of the Caucasus Mountains, right? After his 1,000 years were done, he was loose to deceive the nations once more, right? And shall pull thee down, right? And the Lord put us in a low condition here in America, but now He's raising us back up through, uh, um, which was Zerubbabel and High Priest Joshua, which is High Priest Zerubbabel, which is King Masha, which is King David, and Zerubbabel is High Priest Ariah, right? Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1, and he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan stood at his right hand to resist him, right? And we believe through faith that this Joshua is the same Joshua of who of the son of Nun, who got left in charge after Moses, right? So yeah, this is Numbers chapter 13, verse 16. These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses called Osi, the son of Nun, Joshua. So Joshua is Hosea, right? Which makes a lot of sense because Hosea was a prophet against the northern kingdom, right? When you read Hosea, right? Against Israel, which is the northern kingdom. Okay, yeah. So this is Deuteronomy 31 and 23. And he gave Joshua, son of Nun, right? Which is Osi, Hosea, which is a Ephraimite, right? Which is from the northern kingdom, right? A charge and said, be strong and of a good courage, for thus shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore unto them, and I will be with thee. Right? So the southern kingdom, so like Apostle Har said, on a micro level, it's of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, but it's also of what? Of Joshua and Zerubbabel. Okay. Come back right here, Zechariah chapter 3, verse 2. And the Lord said unto Satan, right, which is a spiritual demon, Satan, right? Yahweh rebuke thee, O Satan, even Yahweh that have chosen Jerusalem, rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire, right? Which is dealing with the elect. The elect is going to be plucked out of the fire. Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, right? Which we believe through faith that High Priest Ariah, because what he's preaching a filthy doctrine, right? Which is Christianity, which is plantation Christianity, basically, with an Israelite twist. But we believe through faith that he's going to come out of that, and stood before the angel, and he answered and spake unto these that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. And we believe that High Priest Ariah is going to come out of that, and he's going to take off the filthy garment, And that's going to be a glorious day, man. You're going to know there was a prophet among you, man. You're going to know that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai exists. And then like the elders say, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't make the Most High a liar. Something else is going to happen, right? Something's going to have to happen, because the Lord cannot be a liar. And unto him he said, behold, which means feast your eyes upon, look, pay attention. I have caused thy iniquities to pass from thee, right? The Lord's going to purge them, clean them. And I will clothe thee with choice of remnant. And I said, let them set a fine mitre upon his head, which High Priest Ariah used to always wear a mitre. So they set a fine mitre upon his head, or my tire, right? Which is a mitre upon his head, and clothe him with garments, and the angels of Yahweh, which is spiritual mostly, stood by, right? And the angel of Yahweh protested unto Joshua, saying, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, which means armies, if thus wilt walk in my ways, and if thus wilt keep my charge, then thus shall also judge my house, the one we're building, right? Right? You have to build it. You have to have the foundation. You have to have the plumb to measure everything out, right? The one that Zerubbabel has, right? And you're going to judge with Zerubbabel, right? And you have to have the keys to a house. Once you build it, you need the keys, right? And shall also keep my courts, and I will give thee a place to walk among these that stood by, right? This is Zechariah chapter 6, verse, I'm going to go to 11. Then take silver and gold and make crowns and set them upon the head of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and speak unto him, saying, thus speaketh Yahweh of hosts, which means armies, saying, behold, which means feast your eyes upon, pay attention, the man whose name is the branch, right? And he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build. What are we doing? You having the plummet in Zerubbabel's hand, right? And this, to measure and make sure everything's level, things like that. When you're build the temple. Was another way of word for temple, church of Yahweh. Even he shall build the temple of Yahweh, and he shall bear the glory, and shall set and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between both of them. Both of who? Between Joshua and Zerubbabel, right? This is Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10. For who have despised the day of small things, right? Right? And like I said before, we know that that small thing was what? 1 west back in the day, one guy who was went amongst the commandment keepers and figured out that no, we need a Messiah, which is Abba Bibbins, right? Let's skip down because we already read that part. Let's start at 11. Then answered I and said unto him, what are these 2 olive trees? Right? 2 olive trees. That's in Revelation 11, right? Upon the right side of the candlesticks, upon the left side thereof. And I answered again and said unto him, what be these 2 olive branches? Right? When it just said, right, about about Joshua, right? Joshua was a branch, but this is talking about Zerubbabel. So we're talking about the 2 branches from the olive tree, right? And these branches are going to be these are the branches being grafted back in, right? Which you have to be Israelite. You have to be of the house of Israel, and you have to be of the same olive tree to get grafted back into that olive branch, right? The 2 olive branches, which through though the 2 golden pipes empty, the golden oil through the 2 golden pipes empty, the golden oil out of themselves, right? Which means they're anointed. Salakia. But and he answered me and said, knowest not thus not what these be? I said, no, my Lord. Then he said, these are the 2 what? Anointed, like I was saying, dealing with anointed ones that stand before Yahweh or the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Because this has Lord, it's not in all caps. So it's talking about Yahweh Shai, but Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai of Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai of the whole earth, right? So let's go back right here. Revelation 11, right? And 4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before Yahweh of the earth, right? Which is what? Zerubbabel and Joshua, right? The southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth, right? Which is going to happen to America, right? Because the Lord's going to lift up a standard, and they're going to come against the elect. So fire shall proceed out of their mouth and devour them, devour their enemies, plural. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. Must. Not maybe. Must. Those have power to shut up. Wait. What's bound on earth is bound in heaven. Did he say that to Peter? Those have power to shut up heaven, that it rain not in this day, in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them into blood, right? Dealing with Joshua, right? when he took over from Moses, all that, and smite the earth with all plagues thereof, or as often as they will, Salakia, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended, right? Esau Edom say he was going to ascend above the stars of the Most High Yahweh, ascend out of the bottomless pit, right? Out of Spain, Portugal, first through Christopher Columbus, right? Took over the whole world. Pit shall make war against them, right? They put us in slavery, but what? Their end is coming. Because in this manner, you come against in this manner you ought to be killed through fire, and made war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. They did. They put us in slavery. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which is Babylon the Great, right? Which Revelation 17, Babylon the Great, the city, which spiritually is Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified, right? Which he was X'd out. He was it was told that he was a white man with with long hair, when the Apostle Paul said it is a shame for a man to have long hair, right? It is a shame, and it says the Lord has woolly hair in the Bible, and skin of bronze as if it burnt in the furnace. So with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rokal Kodash. Should I read this part? Oh yeah, I'm just. But yeah, I'm going to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rokal HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations to the Akim in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. Right? The hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but your bloodline goes back to Israel and you have come back to the fold. Shalom. To the sister Akwaf, listen in silence. Shalom, and death to America.